Suddenly, a mysterious elderly woman with a worn appearance and a walking stick appeared out of nowhere. Without a word, she carried the newborn in her arms and gazed into his eyes. Then, stepping outside into the raging storm, she raised the baby to the sky and whispered enchantments. Returning inside the hut, she gently placed the baby beside Ojugo, who lay still on the mat after giving birth to her baby. Then, like a puff of smoke, the elderly woman vanished. Once upon a time, in the village of Eziama, there lived a man named Amadi. His heart was as cold as the harmattan breeze, and his eyes held shadows darker than the sky. But it was his wife, Ojugo, who bore the weight of his cruelty. Ojugo, with her almond eyes and skin the color of sun-drenched clay, was a gentle soul, her spirit as bright as the morning sun, but her life was marred by the darkness of a wicked husband. Ojugo's parents were the first to turn against her. From the moment she was born, they had sensed that something was not right about their daughter. They believed that Ojugo was a cursed child, that she had been born with dark powers that could bring harm to anyone who came close to her. As Ojugo grew older, her parents' fears only grew stronger. They refused to let her play with other children, afraid that her powers might harm them. They kept her locked up in her room, away from prying eyes, and fed her with only bare minimum to keep her alive. Life took a turn for the worse when she was married off to Amadi. Amadi promised to shower her love if she agreed to his marriage proposal. Ojugo, desperate for love and acceptance, believed the promises of his love, but love, like the desert wind, can shift direction in an instant. Adane, Adane, the urgent call spliced through the air. Haven't you heard? Ebere is dead. What? Ebere the crippled? Adane's disbelief hung heavy in the room. This cannot be true. I saw her last night with Ojugo. Hmm, this same Ojugo? Nkoli questioned, a shiver running down her spine. Hmm, let the gods of our land see us through. As the news spread, Ojugo was spotted, weeping uncontrollably. Why? What is really happening to me? Why is my life like this? What have I done to deserve all this? Oh, why? She cried out, her sorrow echoing through the village. Ojugo had a friend named Ebere. Before her death, Ebere was the village cripple nobody wanted to associate themselves with. But she loved and cared for Ojugo, always encouraging her that all would be well. But one fateful day, after a terrible nightmare, Ebere slept and never woke up, further fueling the villagers' fear. One by one, anyone who dared to show Ojugo kindness, even a simple greeting, fell ill with the same baffling sickness. Fear turned to hatred towards Ojugo. Amadi, Ojugo's husband, was often seen with other women, showering them with coins that Ojugo desperately needed to feed their family. One evening, Amadi stumbled back to their hut, reeking of palm wine and fury. "Ojugo!" he roared, his voice thick with intoxication. "Where is my dinner? I've been walking like a dog all day. Where is it?" Ojugo hurried from the small smoky room that served as their kitchen. Her heart pounded in her chest, a familiar rhythm whenever Amadi returned to this state. She placed the steaming pot of soup on the rickety table. Amadi looked into the pot, his cold deepening. "One piece of meat? Is this all you could manage, or did you spend the whole day gossiping?" Before Ojugo could reply, a stinging slap landed on her cheek. Impact sent her to the dirt floor, tears flowing down her eyes. Amadi didn't spare her another glance. He stomped out of the hut, leaving Ojugo huddled on the cold ground. Amadi's cruelty became a daily ritual. He beat her in front of friends and family, his heart consumed by bitterness and rage. He beats and mistreats her without mercy. He also withholds money for food and blames her for all his misfortunes. He will always call her the wicked witch. But Ojugo would always plead for forgiveness even when Amadi was wrong. Soon the whole village started calling her Ojugo the wicked witch. The villagers believed that she brought bad luck to everyone around her, like her parents, her dead friend Ebere, and also her husband Amadi. They believed that she used witchcraft to swallow her husband's wealth. They will always whisper among themselves that Amadi was a wealthy man before he married Ojugo, but now he has lost everything he owns. The village watched, their eyes like hungry vultures, as Ojugo hugged groundnuts to feed herself, often going hungry. She heard the villagers whispering and gossiping about her whenever she passed by. Amadi had ceased to provide for her, leaving her to fend for herself in a world filled with hardship and despair. She wept silently, her tears watering the parched earth. Each night, she knelt by her mat, her palms pressed together, and prayed to the gods for deliverance. But it seems her tears and prayers to the gods for a change in her circumstances seems to go unheard. 9 months later, as raindrops and thunder echoed around her, Ojugo endured the agonizing pains of labor all by herself. Amadi, like always, was nowhere around. Alone and tired, Ojugo cried for help, her voice weak against the loud wind. But with one final push, she brought her baby into the world and collapsed unconscious. Suddenly, a mysterious elderly woman with a worn appearance and a walking stick appeared. Without a word, she carried the newborn in her arms and gazed into his eyes. Then, stepping outside into the raging storm, she raised the baby to the sky and whispered enchantments. Returning inside the hut, she gently placed the baby beside Ojugo, who lay still on the mat after giving birth to her baby. Like a puff of smoke, the elderly woman vanished. Ojugo gave birth to a baby boy. She named him Ikemefuna. Her heart swelled with joy as she watched her son grow. As Ikem, as she fondly calls him, grew, his laughter filled the hut, chasing away the shadows of loneliness. Unlike Amadi, Ikem was a constant source of joy. But her happiness was short-lived. 3 years later, for the baby fell ill and died mysteriously. Ojugo was left devastated. With nothing left to lose, Ojugo set out for the market one fateful night, her heart heavy with sorrow. She was unconscious of what was happening around her. She was seized by shadowy figures lurking in the darkness, their hands gripping her tightly as they dragged her into the depths of the forest. Thanks for watching. Please kindly like, share and subscribe to Special African Tales. Thank you.